Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Ariela. Hello. Noah. Hello. Seva. San. Hello. Dalit. Hello. Tina. How is everybody?
Good evening.
Good evening, Dina. Yeah, you're all good?
Fine. Sort of.
Sort of. Okay. Sort of is already good, I think.
And you?
Because I don't know how it is in Israel, but I tell you here, I mean, so many people have problems with, like, younger people have problems because their parents are old, they don't find a place to live, or they're really sick, like seriously sick in hospital, like what happened yesterday. It's like, in Switzerland, it's like this daughter of her, so her parents, her dad is dement, and her mother all of a sudden got really bad pain in her stomach, and they brought her to hospital maybe 3 or 4 days ago. So she has to find somebody for the dad because he can't live alone because he's dement. And so, she had to take care of him. She's a school teacher, so she had to work on top of it. And so then she found a place for her father, and he was kind of calming down a little bit. And but then yesterday she called the hospital and to see how her mother is, and they say, "Oh, she's not here anymore. Where is she?" Well, we can't say. So she didn't know, is she dead? Is she still alive? What is happening? So then, well, you have to call later when the doctor is here because I can't tell you. And she said, but I'm her daughter. Come on. I mean, what happened to her? And she totally panicked. And she also said, it's amazing. You can do so much yoga and so much meditation, but when the situation like this comes about, you totally panic. And we all said, we have a WhatsApp group, so this is why I know the situation. So we all said, well, meditating and practicing doesn't mean you don't have emotions, or you never panic. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that they don't have such a grip on you. Anyway, so the story is that the mother had to be flown by helicopter because he had these excruciating pains to the university hospital, which is in Lausanne, which is a bigger hospital, and that they had to operate on her emergency wise, and she still has the pains and she's still there, but at least she's still alive. So it's like, that they know the father is dement, they know there's only one daughter, and they moved this woman from a smaller hospital to the big hospital without informing the daughter. I mean, what is this? But also they overwork, they don't have so much time, they do their best, and so it's like difficult, and another one with her parents, they just moved to a parents' home, but then they were not happy and they were not treated well, so she had to find another place, and it's like, now somebody committed suicide, just somebody called me now, and it's like, so much, it's really, really a lot of suffering going on. Yeah. Physically, mentally, like all of this. How is it in Israel? Same? Was it any better?
I think it's okay. I mean, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, I'm okay also, but what I see around me, and we do quite a lot of practices and pujas, not just the one for Geshe Punso. And then we have like a formal dedication list where people give me their names and then we read out the names, and that list gets longer and longer and longer and longer. I mean, it's cancer and this or dying and anyway, so it seems that a lot is coming together right now, seems to me at least. Okay, so let's start. Can you repeat, Dina? You have to open your microphone.
I think cancer, and death and problem with parents, they are the same everywhere. But
Yeah.
I think in Corona, everything got really much bigger and more intense because a lot of people suffer from mental issues because of the isolation and the fear
Yeah.
And the fact they cannot see your children.
Exactly.
But I don't think,
Yeah.
but I don't think that in Israel they can put somebody in a different hospital without notifying you.
Yeah. I mean, I was also not, everybody was really shocked that, that she wasn't informed. And on top of it, the nurse didn't give her any information and said, well, you have to wait until the doctor calls you back. Okay, so still, since we are at the moment not in a situation like this, we can do a reflection on bodhicitta, that we are bodhisattvas, isn't it? And first to stabilize our mind and to be really, when I say to be content, not to be content kind of, oh, I'm so well and others are so bad, but just to be grateful that for us at the moment it seems to be going more or less okay, let's say. We don't have huge big worries, and that we are, we have the dharma, we can work with our mind. Of course, also we have strong emotions and we panic sometimes, but then we have a lot of good methods to be able to transform it and not to put too much pressure on us that we have to be perfect, and because we know it intellectually that it should work and all this, and to really learn to relax and to be awake. This is so important. It is so helpful. So you connect with your body without any expectations that your mind should be calm and spacious and all this. If it is, it's fantastic. If it's not, it will with time. It will calm down. We all know. We have moments where we're totally agitated. Other moments where, the meditation goes quite well. So don't push, please. And bring friendliness into the reflection or the meditation. A soft, spacious, accepting mind. Because this is what the verses are today, just to see how fortunate we are that we have these methods. And the methods would be available for everybody, but we have interest in these methods and we apply them. So it's kind of being grateful towards yourself, not just to the Buddhas and the teachers, but also towards yourself by just thinking, well done. Drop everything else that seems not to be okay for the moment. And to feel the body, just to be grateful also that we're not in hospital. We don't have to be intubated, kind of. We can breathe alone, naturally. Isn't that wonderful? Just that simple fact. We could all be on an intubator. Still now, people from COVID cannot breathe by themselves or from other sicknesses. So enjoy your breath. Be with your breath. Notice your breath with an awake and grateful mind. And experience that mind that is awake, relaxed, and grateful, and friendly. Whenever the mind goes into thoughts, then just the moment you see it, that's big success. And you just go back to your breath in a very simple way. So we do that for a while. then we reflect a bit on our present situation. As we just said, there's so much suffering. Mental suffering, physical suffering, the suffering of people losing stuff that they're attached to, and the other suffering that 24 hours we carry the potential from being very happy to kind of become sad, depressed, angry, whatever. We carry that potential with us. Dukkha, unsatisfactoriness. So, as Keshitashi would say, we have to feel it in our guts that we want to be free from that. Not just dukkha, but also klesha, like the causes for suffering. When we develop bodhicitta, we can start at that end, that we understand our situation, that yes, there's a lot of good moments in our life, but there's just as many, if not many more, where if we would have a choice, we would not choose these situations. We're constantly adjusting things. We're constantly fixing things. That's not satisfactory. Of course, we got used to it, so we think it's normal, but it's not. So the self-confidence, the confidence in our Buddha nature, when you know you're a follower of the Buddha, you know the teachings, you have heard so many times, the nature of the mind is pure. It is spacious and has as natural ingredient like spontaneous love, compassion, and wisdom. For us, it is covered at the moment. It's like water with sand in it. So the sand is not the water. The sand can be taken out. But if the water is very agitated, it looks as if the water is dirty. The water is never dirty. Another example is the sky and the clouds. The blue, vast, empty sky is always there. Sometimes it's covered by clouds. But the clouds are not the sky. Our unhelpful emotions are not the nature of the mind. They're part of the mind, yes. But they're not its nature. They can be eliminated. So try to find, if we have that self-confidence, that we can be not just a little bit less anger, a little bit less jealousy, a little bit less fear, a little bit less this and that, but free from it. Totally free. To develop that self-confidence. We don't know, right? Because we've always carried these kleshas around with us. But do we have enough trust in our gurus and in the Buddha that we start to build up that self-confidence? At the bottom, I am pure. Or by nature, maybe better to say like this. And this purity is just covered. And then we think about our values that we have. These values, we have them spontaneously. Of course, some of them are learned. But many of them are very spontaneous, like love, compassion, generosity, joy, diligence, kindness. And you think so many times, I have these values and I cannot live them naturally. I have to think and then change my behavior, or maybe I have an agenda and I'm behaving like this because I don't want the other person to see me behaving in that way that is going against values, my values, their values. Many times we can't live them naturally. So the self-confidence, but I have the potential. The seed is there. be able to live these values in a very natural way, always, with everybody, as if everybody is my child. Sometimes we can be firm, sometimes we can be stern, but we do it out of kindness because we want to protect the other person. So do we trust that potential? Do we have this aspiration? Is it important for me to be able to live that? Or is it just, yeah, sometimes okay. If not, who cares? Others are the same. What's your attitude? So with bodhicitta, we can start at this end, that we see our own situation, we see our potential, we trust in it. And then we start practicing transforming the mind. But we can also start at the other end by seeing the suffering of other beings. And of course, you can take the beings that you're attached to at the moment, or at least that you know them personally, so that something moves in your heart. Because otherwise, again, it's just intellectual, which is not bad. It's okay to have it intellectually, but then it doesn't really transform the mind. So feel that pain of being helpless, useless. Of course, we can alleviate their suffering, but we cannot take it away from them. And we cannot inspire them enough that they change their behavior. Maybe for some, but for very, very few. So when we see that, and we see our wish to be of benefit to them, our wish to be able to show them how to liberate themselves from suffering and the causes of suffering, then the thought comes, oh, but first I have to get out of samsara. First I have to understand, and not just intellectually, what brings suffering and what brings happiness. Then I can inspire and guide all others to that state. So you can go in this way, like first you see the suffering, then you understand you want to do something, and you decide to go on this Bodhisattva path. Or the other way around, you see your own suffering, and then we understand how dependent we are on others. And then we think, but hey, I can't just disappear into nirvana and leave them behind. And then decide, I want to attain enlightenment, but not just for myself, but in order to be of benefit to all sentient beings. How do I do that? By studying the teachings of the Buddha, which has become my mentor, by putting the Dharma as much as possible into practice, using these methods to transform the mind, and by connecting with the Sangha. Sangha, of course, you know, we say I belong to a Sangha, but when we think about refuge, like Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, it is people who realize, people who have the teachings integrated in their minds and are ready to share them with us, to inspire us, to guide us. They're not fully awakened yet, but they're pretty realized already, so that they serve as guide for us. But it's also the ordinary Sangha, people who are on the same path that I am, and with them I share my successes and my failures on this path. This is something that I trust. I trust my own potential to attain fully awakened state. I trust these methods that they will get me there, because the Buddha and the Gurus are serving as an example. Okay. Thank you very much. Now we should be able to have a very funny moment when you tell me about the homework, if you were able to recognize whether whether it's self-confidence, the good feeling that you had, or whether it was arrogance. And you have to be able to laugh about it, because otherwise, you don't want to see it anymore. And it's really funny sometimes. So if nobody comes up with a story, then I'll start. Yeah, because I have plenty of them. And it's so funny to see how childish we are. I am. I don't want to talk. I don't talk about you, it's like, but sometimes, and every time I really burst out laughing, Okay, so maybe I'll start and then you can see how this works. So, or what this is all about. You remember the homework, yeah? That I said, because we're going into self-confidence and we have to really be able to distinguish which is what. And I tell you, when you start to observe, when you feel, the good feeling is coming out, so, wow, I'm so great. It's like, it can be self-confidence, but it's very quickly pride sneaks in. And then sometimes it's like a slap in the face when it wasn't, when you don't get the credit that you want or this and that. So what happened one time at Tushita, I was doing 5 months nunes, so I wasn't teaching. I was still living at Tushita, but I was doing a 5 months retreat, which is quite, I don't know if anybody knows nunes. It's quite, Nitan is nodding, so it's like quite hard. And I wasn't teaching. So, Tushita is a place in India where we had like 2 courses each month, each one 10 days. And the courses would have like 70 to 100 people. And so, you get to know 200 people every month, new people. And of course, because it's a 10-day course, the courses went quite deep because you have 10 days. And at that time, there was no mobile phones. Nobody was traveling with a computer or a tablet. People were really into the retreat. So something moved, right? They started to understand on a deeper level than if you do these things in Europe, I think, or, also in Israel, because you drag your children to the weekend, and usually it's just the weekend, unless it's, Venerable Sean who comes and does 10-day retreats, or Antonio. But I usually just do like, we used to do 4 or 5 days, but then it seemed to be too long. And so it just went down to Thursday evening, Friday, Saturday. So, of course, it's good. It's better than nothing, but you don't really plunge into it. And you can have like, deep, deep understanding if you do a longer course when everybody else is doing the same thing. Okay. So, because when you are leading meditations and teaching, then, people like you, they love you because they think it's you who kind of brought up these good things in them, but it's not. It's just, just using words, and then the people do the work themselves. So they all admire you and they praise you and they think you're wonderful and all this, which is, I don't know, good for the ego. It's nice, it's really nice. I have nothing against it. But very often it's a bit exaggerated. So after these 5 months of not getting to know new people, so there was a Lama teaching at Tushita. So I went down for the teachings, and the teaching was finished and everybody was standing up. So some person was pointing their camera at me, which they always do because they always want a picture of yourself. And then I was thinking, wow, I haven't been down here for 5 months, and still people, without knowing me, they know who I am. So he wants a picture of me. And then he says, can you please move to the side because I want to take a picture of this other person. Hey, this is supposed to be funny, guys. What are you kind of looking with your serious faces? And I burst out laughing. And this poor guy with the camera, he didn't know why I was laughing, because I thought it was so ridiculous. Oh, here I am, wow, look at me. After not appearing for 5 months, people without knowing me, they know who I am, and he wants a picture, and then he says, can you please move to the side? Yeah, so like this. Yeah, so that would be one story, which I thought was really funny. This is where you see the, kind of a little bit your own arrogance in a way, thinking that you're special. Okay, can you come up with something, please?
I have a story
Okay.
from today. I wasn't in the last session, but today it was really funny. I was working and I thought I was like, I asked for help from someone at work, and I thought she did a not so good job, like a really not organized. She sent me back a response, and it was not the way I wanted it to be. So I was telling my friend, "Oh, she's so not professional. I don't know how to work with her." And then, like a few minutes later, I discovered I made a mistake asking her the wrong thing. So I was like really laughing at myself for being so thinking to try to change her first, and but I felt good because it made me laugh a bit, and it wasn't so tight. So it's this moment.
That's so important, that we can laugh about it. Or what I did also not so long ago, we were looking for a recitation of the Heart Sutra of His Holiness for Geshe Punsok, so that his mom can play it to him. So Venerable Tekchok, he sent me one, and it was very unclear. Yeah, so I went into the internet, and I was kind of looking, and I found one which was much clearer, and I actually recognized it. So it was, kind of, I was going, wow, I recognize the Heart Sutra, which of course I don't speak Tibetan and all this. And so I was, I thought it was the Heart Sutra because it was so familiar, but it was the praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. Of course I recognize it because that's what that's what is always, recited. So it was but I kind of mistook it for the Heart Sutra. So I sent it out to the WhatsApp group and say, hey, I found a better version. Then Geshe-ma sends me kind of to say, oh, this is the praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. And again, I couldn't stop laughing. I thought, I'm so stupid. I know that I don't know the Heart Sutra. I can't recite it with it. And here I am going, I'm being very happy that I found this clear version of the Heart Sutra, which is not the Heart Sutra. Anybody else? Thank you, Nitsan. No? Okay, shall we do this homework again? Because it's really funny, It's really good to see. And then arrogance and all this, when you can laugh about it and you can tell the story and you yourself find it funny, it doesn't have a grip on you so much anymore. But it's, it creeps in really, really quickly, like yesterday or the day before yesterday. Yesterday we did puja, and I'm usually leading it. And, it was puja where you sing a lot. There's Tara puja. All of a sudden I think like, wow, my voice is so nice today. It's like, it's like, and kind of, then that's okay. It's okay because my voice is it's loud, it's stable, but it's harsh. Okay. So, but it was quite soft yesterday, and it's okay to think like that. But then I could feel that, that it's not enough. It's kind of, then I tried to make it even better. And so I lost the puja by thinking kind of, otherwise I was quite concentrated. But when I heard that my voice was quite soft, I kind of thought, oh, wow, it's quite soft. So this is where awareness comes in, when we start to see these things and can let go. Because when we see these things, they're not creating more negative karma, right? Kind of, then I start comparing with others. My voice is better than that one and this and that. And then it becomes arrogance immediately. The moment you start to compare, the moment you're not just happy with what is right now without wanting to make it even better, and nobody needs to see it. nobody needs to hear it, nobody needs to confirm, then it's self-confidence. Okay? But it's a very fine line. It's a very, very fine line. But I tell you, really, by observing your mind, if you have the time, this is it, you know. I am so lucky, I'm so fortunate. Most of the time, since August, I'm alone here, you know, and even when I'm on the Zoom, I'm alone. So I have so much time to watch my mind. I mean, it's such a great thing to do, and it's really important for the practice. But you need to have enough self-confidence because you see a lot of negative stuff, right? That usually when you are out there with people, you don't see it. Yeah, it's not that you only see beautiful things. But when you start to see this, and it took like these few months, really, that I also have very good moments that I noticed that just come out of the blue, you know, like being grateful, being full of, you know, really thinking, wow, Bodhicitta is such a great thing when you're standing in line in the supermarket or something like that. Yeah, so I can see when I start to see the negative thoughts and the negative sides that I have without grasping at them, without judging me, and they're not creating, you know, that they don't have so much hold. And then the positive stuff also can come out. So a bit like that. So I'm very fortunate, and I understand that when you're, you know, in your work and with other people, with your children, you have to figure out problems and all this. Then of course it's very, very difficult to kind of be able to notice what's going on. So this is why retreat, and at least maybe, you know, 1 hour a day or 10 minutes a day or something, that you really take that time to kind of the same way as you take the time to clean your teeth, that you take the time to clean your mind, to put that aside a little bit. Ayala, yes.
I wanted to ask, you said before to a harsh voice and a soft voice. I have a very harsh voice, and many times people, I want to say something really nice and it comes out so harsh that people get offended, and I didn't mean to. It's something I would like to work on, and I since practicing the best I can, I also try to soften my voice. But now with my practice, I'm actually aware of my harsh voice after I hear my voice.
Right.
So I would like to stop, you know, that 1 second before, I don't have the, you know, something. Do you understand what I'm asking you?
I know, because I have the same problem, kind of.
Oh,
I mean, it's
okay.
the problem. It's just the way it is. But there's a very nice Dharma story about this. So there was this monk who had this beautiful voice, but a very ugly body. Now I can't remember why he had an ugly body, but it came from karma, from past life, because I think he was gossiping a lot about other people, something like that. So then that's where the ugly body came from, like karmic result from past lives. But then the beautiful voice came because he had sponsored the bell for the pagoda. You know, there's bells that you ring them with a wooden stick. You know, you go like boom. Yeah, it's not inside. You know that you ring the bell, but it's outside. So he had sponsored the bell for the pagoda, and then in another life he had a really beautiful melodious voice. And there are people who have beautiful voices, you know, because Leonard Cohen, for example, is a person like this. You can listen to him for hours and hours and hours. And what he says just goes in very, very deep. His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, also, he's got a beautiful voice, right? So anyway, so just be aware of it, and also understand. It's like, you know, it's not the end of the world also. It's okay. So we can also accept it. Anybody else has a arrogant and self-confident story? Dina? You need to open your microphone, please. It's still closed.
Sorry, I said I did not notice at all that Ariella had a harsh voice. I think your voice is nice and normal. I don't
Well,
know.
anyway, it's just, this is just relative, you know. That's okay. Okay, so this we don't need to. Okay. So if nobody has another story, maybe we do this
I want
homework,
to ask.
because try to find moments in your life also when something like that happened, and try to be able to laugh about it, and then we tell each other the story, so we see that we're all the same. We all have this kind of big ego blown up, kind of blah blah blah, you know, and then something comes and poof. Huh? So we do that again for next week.
I want to ask because I'm trying. This arrogance for me is not funny. No, it's funny, but the situation you told were funny. But I was looking for situation when I really feel above. Maybe I don't understand arrogance that good,
Okay,
that
go
well.
into that. We will do today, and I translated it from German into English, and I'll show it on the screen, and if you want, then I can send it to you actually. It's from this book by Lundrup Tilman Bogart, who is a psychologist and a Buddhist monk and did long retreats, and he's really good the way he can put it into words. But unfortunately, the book only exists, I think, in German. So I translated the arrogance bit, yeah. So then maybe it becomes more clear, because he goes into the seven kinds of arrogance, and I translated the words into. I have to share the screen. I translated the words into French and English. Edouard is not here, so but anyway, so maybe he'll get it. Where is it? Yeah. Okay, so we'll read it slowly, so it will be a bit technical and a bit theoretical, but for me it was very helpful to see it black and white like this. And again, you know, you don't have to agree with everything he says. If you find that this is not the way it is, but it's pretty much like, you know, also coming from Buddhism, not just from psychology. Okay, so what is arrogance? It's lacking awareness, because, you know, basically all our negative emotions are lacking awareness that there is no self-existent I, ego or me or self or whatever. There's no third entity to the body and the mind. This is the awareness that we're lacking. Yeah, we don't see reality as it is. If we had clear awareness, we would see I'm just a part of this universe, you know, tiny, tiny bit, tiny, tiny part. Why the hell do I take myself so important? Yeah, as if I'm the center of the universe. You know, that would, and I'm totally depending on others. So why do I think I'm so bloody important? Okay. So lacking awareness, the fear and the belief in an inherent I gets together with the desire to be somebody special and the aversion not to be anybody special. And now I'm pretty sure in your mind you already say, no, I don't want to be special. It's not true. We all want to be special. And you have to notice that, you know. We have to notice that we want to be better than others. We're not fighting, okay? It's very, very subtle for us, but it's definitely there. We don't like to be ignored. You know, when we tell stories, maybe we add a little bit to it so that we become more special. We wouldn't be very happy if somebody would say, oh, wow, you're so ordinary. You know, sometimes people tell me that, and it makes me really happy. Well, they don't say ordinary, they say normal. But normal is I'm the norm, right? It's like, and I think like, oh, they're great. You know, this is what we want. We want to be normal. We don't want to be special. Because if you want to be special, you have a problem, because everybody wants to be special. You know, if we can let go of that thing, I don't have to be special. I can just be normal and ordinary. I would have so much less problems. Okay. Anyway, so that becomes arrogance. Arrogance is therefore not fundamentally different from lacking awareness and attachment, and contains, perforce, a tendency to anger and jealousy. People who are arrogant experience inevitably aversion if somebody questions their importance. If they meet an insult, they get angry. Very often they suppress that unpleasant sensation because they don't want to be angry because they're arrogant, you know. If somebody calls them stupid, they get angry if they identify with it. Without arrogance, the words would not be a problem. A clinging to the I is the starting point of arrogance. Arrogance identifies with real and imagined qualities, which do not necessarily have to be your own. We can also identify with qualities of family members. For arrogance, it does not matter if the quality is there or not. It is enough if we believe that it's there. It can even be thoughts that we can be proud of. I am laughing because I'm pretty sure for you absolutely no importance. For me, very important. There is the Olympic Games at the moment, and they're the Olympic Winter Games. So Switzerland already has a gold medal and 3 bronze medals. So then, you know, I identify with these Swiss skiers that we see all the time and all this. Now you can say that's stupid. Yes, of course, for you it's stupid. I have to see your faces. Of course, for you might be stupid. I used to work in a sports shop, okay? I used to be skiing a lot and climbing mountains. I have a very strong connection with going on skis and being in the snow and these kind of things. That's why it's so important. And, you know, we're surrounded by everybody talks about these games at the moment here because it's winter. In the summer, not many people talk about it because we're not very good at summer sports. It's more winter sport. Then we have the big enemies, which are the Austrians, you know, because they're also only a small country. So it's really funny, you know. I mean, stupid, yes, I do admit, but it's there in me at the moment. I woke up this morning 4 o'clock. What did I do? I turned on the TV because the race was happening.
There was some bad accidents in the past few days, quite a few fractures and bad falls in the skiers.
Oh, every winter, that's okay. That's normal. That belongs to it. This is, also you don't have to be a racer. This is why I'm saying it's not such a great sport. It's very dangerous. You don't have to be a racer to break your bones. So this is why you have helicopters and hospitals and all this, because you go very fast, you know, and you have nothing to protect you. I mean, when I was skiing, we didn't even have helmets. We went without helmets. So yeah, there's always accidents happening. Yeah. That's nothing. Yes, Dina?
I want to ask something. I mean,
Yeah.
if I can understand why clinging to the I can make us arrogant because we think we are important and then we expect like special treatment from others. But on the other hand, because most of us are not really fully awakened, that's mean, and we cling to the I, that means that almost everybody on this planet is arrogant.
Yes, exactly. That's
okay.
that's what we are. So we have to be aware of it. Just because everybody is arrogant doesn't mean we shouldn't work with it. Yeah. Everybody wants to be special. This is a big sickness, and because, you know, we don't recognize it as something negative. This is the problem, but it is it's a klesha, which when we act out of arrogance, it creates negative karma. It's one of the 5 poisons. This is why it's so dangerous, because it's very subtle and it feels good. Yeah. So yes, of course, everybody is arrogant. Everybody who is well, I don't know. But anyway, we'll come to these 7 kinds of arrogance, and then we will see that, yeah, everybody fits in there as one or the other. Okay, then, okay, it can even be thoughts that we can be proud of. A thief can be proud that he is good at breaking in. A liar can be proud that everybody believes his lies. Like me, when I was a kid, everybody believed my stories, even though they were totally made up, and I thought this was really great also, see? It's when I heard about karma, then I I stopped telling lies. Now I only exaggerate. I still have the habit. Okay. So some goes for faults of others, like for example, my son beats everybody up that does not agree with him. This also can create pride or arrogance. So arrogance always finds something to cling to, even if it is the complete absence of qualities, like saying, I am the worst of all. So in Buddhism, saying that I'm absolutely no good, I'm the worst, I'm the bottom, like this, is also a form of arrogance. Because again, you're special, because you're the worst. So through that, we also become somebody very special by being the worst. If somebody points out that there are others who are worse, we get angry immediately, a sure sign of arrogance. If somebody wants to calm you down and say, oh, come on, I know somebody else who's much worse than you. If you can't accept it, and you don't say, oh, thank you very much for pointing that out, and you get angry and you say, it's not true, I'm the worst of all of them. So then again, it's arrogance. So 7 ways of pride, so pride in Tibetan the word is called na gyel, means the victory to me. Na means I, gyel means victory. It's not that I found that out. As I told you, I don't speak Tibetan, but it's Geshe Tashi. It's from Geshe Tashi, who sometimes takes the Tibetan words apart, and I find it very helpful. So that's always negative. In English, sometimes pride can be positive also. When you're not comparing with somebody else or when you're not putting somebody else down. Okay, so the first one is arrogance. A belief that you are very superior to people who are equal leads to haughtiness and expresses itself in impertinent, aggressive behavior towards those who are equal. With small, spiteful remarks, we try to put them down. If you have questions or if you want to say something, just open your microphone because I don't see you anymore. And as I said, I can send you that text if you want. With all the mistakes that I made, I don't really mind so much. So arrogance is the same, like German is Arrogance and in French is Arrogance. So everybody understands that. Now, second one is condescension, German Herablassung, and in French condescence. A feeling that you are very superior to the ones who are not as good as you. It is accompanied by an attitude of I have to lower myself to put myself at your level. We are so convinced to be a lot better that it seems a great favor to even answer them. A snotty way of talking to them is a clear sign of us being convinced that we are so much better than them, often mixed with contempt for those who have less qualities than us. Or if somebody talks about something that we find absolutely not interesting, like me telling you about the ski racers, right? So we can do that sometimes. We listen, but, only half-heartedly. So third one is disdain, Überheblichkeit, Prätension. So we feel superior to those who are better than us, looks down on others who have more skills, expertise, and so on. We do not want to see our faults nor the qualities of the others. Somebody who knows everything better. If you are new in a group, you do not look for the qualities of the others, you take the lead. If somebody cannot express himself properly, one also takes away all other qualities. Like, people who do low jobs, we think they have absolutely no intelligence, people who have no diplomas, then people are different nationalities. We also think, the kind of people from Africa or whatever, then we don't even want to see their good qualities because we only see what they don't have. Or disabled people, it happens a lot to them because maybe they can't speak clearly, or maybe they're spastic or whatever. Immediately they also get put into the category, oh, you don't understand anyway, unless you know them. I have an example for that. because there's a handicapped mother who is in a wheelchair and who cannot walk properly, and she had a baby. And so she had to go to the doctor with the baby, and she said, well, I can't go along. Can you please come with me? So I said, yes, of course, no problem, but I don't know how to handle babies. So I pushed the wheelchair and I, opened the doors for you, but then, I gave the baby to the doctor, but then he does it and all this. So he had to have an injection, I think. So anyway, so he started to explain that, he started to explain things, and he kept looking at me, and I said, come on, I'm not the mother. This is the mother. You have to explain to her because it's not my baby. I don't understand anything about babies, and I won't be with that baby. So, but he kept explaining to me, kind of thinking, oh, a woman like this, how can she have a baby? As if I am her guardian or something like that. I was just accompanying her. I was quite shocked at the behavior of this doctor. Really, this is this example. You take away all the qualities and you only see what you think you are, that the person is incapable. Okay, let's continue. Where were you? Okay, here, yeah. So a feeling of supremacy, it blocks our ability to learn. It is impossible to teach somebody like this. If we have this kind of disdain that we look down on everybody, then it's like pretty hopeless. Then supremacy, Anmaßung, Hauteur, a form of disdain. We take ourselves for just a little inferior to somebody who is way superior. We meet these people and think, well, I do not have far to go. Soon I will be better. We see the qualities of the other, but do not see the huge difference between us and them. There is no disdain because it is not possible to ignore the qualities of the other. Now, I don't know what I translated here. There is no disdain because it is not possible to ignore. So we can't look down on them because, their qualities are so high. There's no way we can put them down. That's why it's supremacy. It's not disdain. So this is how, this is how subtle it goes here. Then the fifth one is conceit, Einbildung, Vanité. One thinks that one has more qualities than are actually there. A lack of being connected to reality that is present in all forms of pride. The difference here is that one does not need others to compare. Yeah, with all the others, with all the ones who were before, you need others to compare yourself with. So just a view of oneself. We can be proud without the others. I can live totally alone on an island and still think that I have enormous qualities, like I am very courageous, compassionate, patient, and so on. There is no limit to that. As long as my imaginary qualities are not put to a test, I can continue to believe in it. Then pride that has gone totally wrong is we think we have to have qualities on a level where we have absolutely none, or are proud about thoughts that we have. I think I'm generous, but never give anything. I think I'm compassionate, but I'm not really interested in others. I believe that I'm open to criticism, but never ask for it, or get defensive if it comes. I think that I'm a great listener, but never listen. Or to be proud about your success, even though you created a lot of negativities getting there. These people are very selfish and look upon this as a quality. Hiding behind a bodhicitta motivation can go into that category there. Or very violent pacifists, constantly at war with the ones who have different opinions. Such moments of pride befall us from time to time when we are proud and happy to have tricked somebody into believing our lie or used our intelligence to put somebody down or humiliate them. Then the seventh one, smartness. In in connection with the assumption that these 5 aggregates are the I. We identify with them with our looks and our mental abilities. We look at ourselves in the mirror and do not see the reality of the body, of flesh, bones, organs, etc., but think, wow, I am so beautiful. I don't know if you ever saw that joke. There's a drawing, you know, a cartoon where there's a very beautiful lady with big breasts and there's the monk sitting there and he goes like, you are not your body, and her eyes kind of pop out like this, and she goes like, what? You know. So because so many people put so much effort, not you, of course, you know, and we're not going to look down on these people. But when we look, I mean, it's a reality. How many people get their good feeling who and what they are because of their bodies? I mean, so many, and put a lot of effort into making, or the other way around, how many people feel bad or low about themselves because they don't have the body that one is supposed to have, what, you know, society or fashion or cosmetics or whoever tells us what we should do or how we should look. There's a lot of stuff going on with the body. So thinking like, wow, I'm so beautiful. We find a lot of joy in our beautiful voice, our intelligence, show them off. We think of these things as having acquired them ourselves. Then it becomes terrible. If our beauty fails, the memory lessens, the voice gets brittle, one will put a lot of effort into turning the wheel of time backward without success. Because if that's the only way you can find happiness and find self-confidence, all of this will vanish at one point. On top of it, you know, if we are intelligent, if you're beautiful, one thing is the body doesn't come from you, it comes from your parents. If you're intelligent, well, also it has to do with the brain, and most probably somebody has taught you something to show off your intelligence. If you would have been born alone on an island, you know, you wouldn't know all these things. So very often we're proud about things that totally come from other people. And then when it vanishes, when it goes, then it becomes really bad. So we have to be careful not to identify with qualities that will fail us with time. And this is why many old people suffer, because they lose their memory and their wittiness, their looks and their fitness and so on. It is so important to find access to basic goodness and qualities of our mind, being human, and to put our self-worth on that without pride. If we recognize that these qualities do not belong to anybody and are shared by all humans, then there is no need to be proud about them. So other aspects of pride can protect us from the trifle affairs of this life. We do not get so upset anymore. We are very high up, the world down there. It gives us a certain stability as we are only concentrated on ourselves and find our self-confidence there. It can give us a deceptive security when dealing with others. When this gets shaky, then all this starts to shake and collapse. Real proud people do not care about the opinion of others. The only thing that counts is my view. It is an armor that protects, but also has limits. When it collapses, the whole person collapses. Pride gives us a feeling of richness and fullness, but from time to time doubts arise. They are seen as failure and very often then ignored. Pride rejects the inner work. It cannot accept help. The ideas have to be my own. Only then they can be valid and good. This we see very often, you know. You can come up with a good idea, then somebody else kind of catches it, if it's your boss or somebody who's superior, and then it becomes their idea. That's very upsetting. And sometimes we even do this ourselves. You cannot tell anything to a proud person. They like to surround themselves with people who look up to them and are obeying. They never question themselves. A few qualities are enough for them to build the tower. They do not want to look deep, as there lurks the doubt, and that creates fear. The ability to see one's own weakness is lacking. Pride collapses when we see our faults And that is the best antidote to pride. To see and being able to admit one's own faults dissolves the pride. A proud person has contact to people who are his audience. They are only there to applaud and to tell him how wonderful he is. If they stop doing that, then they do not belong to the inner circle anymore. These contacts are divided into the ones who admire, the ones who can be useful for the future, and potential enemies who can undermine their position. For a proud person, there are two things of interest: to avoid defeat, criticism, and degradation, and to get victory, praise, fame, and approval. These two interests direct his life. Of course, there are people who are bosses and people who are indeed better than me. Then there is the question, do I have to pay them respect? Because at the moment he is better than me, or can I throw him already now in the category of the ones below me? As a proud person, I will see how I have to approach my seniors and then overtake them. First, I have to become like them. Then I can overtake them when the occasion arises. So this is done very often in work situations. A proud person has friends, but he is not open towards them. He will use them for his goals. If they are not useful anymore, he will get rid of them in order to be able to climb up higher. They become some cumberers, some burden, because they cannot climb as fast as I can. They will not be so renowned, not as liked as I. Somebody like this cannot have real friends on the same level as he is. A relationship with a flowing exchange is unknown to a proud person. One of the characteristics is loneliness. If you cannot find friends, you have to ask yourself if it could be a problem with pride. There might be moments of longing for friends, but because of this denigrating behavior, nobody wants to get into close relationship with him. Together with pride is exaggeration. Small actions get blown up. Actions of others get forgotten. Stories all have the same flavor of how wonderful I am. This exaggeration can be an antidote to pride. We can exaggerate so much that it becomes absurd, and then everything gets released into freeing laughter. This is why I'm telling you, look at the moments when you can release your arrogance into freeing laughter. Pride is the biggest hindrance on the spiritual path. It closes the door for blessings and the help of the teachers. It closes the door for other beings and compassion. At first, it is a pleasant feeling, makes us feel good about ourselves, but we cannot make progress. It takes a long time until pride becomes so uncomfortable that we want to get rid of it. To work with pride means to come down from a cozy place into the unpleasant world of inadequacy and needs. When pride collapses, it is a painful awakening. We see our faults and have to admit that we are ordinary like everybody else, maybe even worse. We fall from the God realms back onto the earth. But without that, nothing will change. Later on, we will feel better without the burden of the identification. All of a sudden, we will find friends that we can laugh with because we do not have to protect our self-image anymore. Pride is the last emotion that dissolves on the path to awakening. The reason the remaining self-concerned patterns will try for a long time to nourish themselves on the growing qualities, like we can be very proud of being a good practitioner. To dissolve pride when we have little qualities is already difficult, but when we have big ones, then it will not get easier, as it seems that we have real reason to be proud. We can become very proud about how well the practice works. We do not get angry anymore, can meditate for hours, are very disciplined, and so on. A real good practitioner. What helps is the devotion and to open up for the blessings and to see that these qualities are not coming from my own doing but are an expression of the natural existence when I is not standing in the way anymore, meaning I, self-ego. Okay, did you recognize a few things? You know, the kind of, you know, people that we say we're open to criticism, but then when somebody criticizes us, then that's it. We get angry. No? And we get, you know, we don't want to be together with somebody who is criticizing us all the time.
Yes.
Although we want to grow, isn't it?
Yes.
We want to grow. We need to know because, you know, some people outside, they might be able to see the faults that I can't see myself. Or we think that we're very generous. It's funny when I read these things, I think I'm very generous, but I'm not. I think I'm very compassionate, I'm not. Then I always think of other people who are like this, you know. It never occurs to me that it could be me from time to time. Not always, but sometimes, you know. I feel sometimes like, you know, that I could be compassionate, but I'm not. I could be generous and I'm not. I can see that. But when I read this, I only see this in others. Ah, yeah, this one who thinks that they, you know, they're never generous, but they think they're very generous. So we can see how transparent that is in other people. So since it is transparent in all others, it means it's also transparent in us. So that's a very good way to think, you know. If other people can notice that, oh, they think they're generous, but they're not, and then we can also think that it's for us. So, my dears, discussion is open. Yes, exactly. Nitzan, please.
Also, it occurred to me that the antidote, always you think the antidote for arrogance is modesty, but it's not really true. It's not in the text at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's
what they teach us when we're young, like we need to be, when you feel pride arising, so try to be modest.
Yeah.
But it's not.
The simplicity is coming. The simplicity, the antidotes are coming after, but I thought I make a little break and let you say what you think. But yeah, you can be very proud about being modest. Swiss people are champions with this because we're such an unimportant country. So we learn to be modest by nation, you see, but then we're very proud about being modest and clean and ethical and polite and blah, blah, blah. And if somebody else comes along who is not, we get very angry. So there you go. So this is, you know, this is also a very good sign to see that you're arrogant about your qualities. When somebody is showing the opposite of what you think your qualities are and we get angry at them, it's a very clear sign that, you know, they're showing a mirror and then you get angry. So you have to be careful about this because these people, they deserve compassion and not anger. And we come to the verses next time where it says, you know, I want to be of benefit to others, blah, 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 so that it doesn't go into disdain. Okay? But until now, did you find it helpful, these 7 ways of pride to kind of, you know, so we can see, we can find us, I can find myself in all 7 of them, really. And I don't have to be destroyed and I don't have to be sad and I don't have to be depressed because if you don't want to say anything now to what we just read, then we go into the antidote. Because he's not just pointing out the problem, he's also giving antidote. Okay, shall we do that? Okay.
I want to say just one thing.
Yes, please do, because otherwise we forget what we wanted to say.
That if I check myself, then times that I'm kind of arrogant is places where I myself being hurt. And instead of taking look of this place, I become arrogant. Like, for example, my son was at home in the weekend, and I said, "Okay, so you stay in the army?" And he said, "I don't know." And then I said, "Oh, okay, if you stay, in a couple of months, you need to decide what will you do." And he said, "Oh, I will be, never mind, something." And I said, "Oh, this one." And he said to me, "Oh, you are so arrogant and na na na." And then I was thinking that it's coming from my my pain, a place of pain that I have less self-confidence in this place, and I'm projecting this on him, on the place he wants to stay, and I say, but it's like, no, this is not a very good place. But it's my not very good place that I stay. So this is what I wanted to say.
That's good. It's good that you see it. You see, this is all we can do. We can see it and then it can dissolve. Yeah. Unless we see it and then we go even, oh, I'm so bad and this is terrible and all this. We make a big fuss about it. To be happy when we see these things and say, oh, okay, I had a feeling, I had a sensation that was unpleasant. What is behind it? So this is what awareness is doing. Awareness is seeing the sensation, is noticing, something is going on. Then we start to explore, as you just did, and then we can dissolve it, and we're not creating more imprints and more tendencies like this. And then you can say, I hope I understood you right, I'm not sure, but then you can say, oh, this is not his problem, this is my problem.
And many parents doing
then you can be and then you can be happy about his choice. I mean, it's his choice. If he wants to do that and he thinks that will make him happy, then let him do that. That's fine.
It's a good thing, but for me it was on, you didn't succeed, so this is the title of him. He won't be succeed also, but it's a very good. I never did it, and I could never do what he's doing now. But it's not connecting to the reality. Just a story in my head, and it's a place of I have less self-confidence there, and then I put it on him. Yeah. And I think that many times me and parents doing it to their children.
Of course, not just the children, also your friends. Like I'm friends with some homeless people who look terrible, who have absolutely no manners or whatever. And when other people walk with me and then we wave at each other or I talk to them, they say, do you know them? And I said, yes, of course I know them. They're my friends. And people are shocked. See? So this is, this is also, we have to see that we have to be careful when we choose our friends that we're not choosing them because or that we don't want to be friends with somebody, because what will people think of me if they see that those are my friends? Okay, I'm a nun, so I can be friends with everybody. So it is kind of accepted, but for lay people, that can be quite a big problem, that you say, oh no, I don't want to be seen with this person, although you would actually like the person. This is where it can go sometimes when it goes totally wrong. And we don't notice it and we think, oh, it's normal. Yeah. Okay, so let's go into the antidotes. So he says 3 keys. So simplicity, devotion, and friendship. And this is so nice, this one. Means to have the courage to be who you are. That's so nice, and it's so simple. Just to be the way you are, not to kind of fake that we're better or worse or whatever. Not to hide. As long as I'm always trying to be the best, things become very complicated. Sometimes even when we're always trying to do the best, things become very complicated. Yeah, and it's very stressful. At the moment, I'm not giving my best without any agenda, but I want to go to the top. Criticism I reject without really listening. It is difficult to teach me something. Well-meant advice is meeting with defense. On the other hand, it is easy for me to see the faults in others. So this is us. Now, to be simple means giving up this complicated self-defense, to have the courage not to be anybody special, not to be noticed, just normal with all the natural qualities. To be simple makes us flexible. We can also from time to time leave the place in the sun to others. Well, of course, in Israel would be you can leave the place in the shade to others because it's so hot. I become very flexible to serve or to lead. whatever the situation needs right now. I can be led, and I am ready to lead, but to step down when needed. Even though I was very rigid before, now with this simplicity, I can flow with the situation. I can go along with others. It's so nice, so beautiful. Devotion, a form of heart opening, to trust somebody who knows, this should be somebody here, but anyway, who knows the path better than us, to allow to be led. Here it's about spiritual practice. The remedy for pride. When I admit that I need help, then pride diminishes. We become quite nice people when we need help. You know, we're very kind, we're very polite, and it doesn't have to be only when we need help. We can be like this all the time. When I admit that I need help, then pride diminishes. With the need to be led and to receive help, allows us to see the qualities in others. And then whenever we see the qualities in others, we have a happy mind because we can learn from them. They can be good for us. Yeah. When we see negative stuff, then we get angry and we have an unhappy mind. When pride dissolves, we still continue to develop qualities, and we notice that they cannot come out of self-identification. We recognize that these qualities come out of Buddha nature and are grateful that these outer helpers have shown us the path of our inner Buddha. It has nothing to do with blown up self-worth. In the understanding that the qualities can flow better if we are not entangled in this self-identification is something that frees us. We do not have to produce anything. In the measure that the identification dissolves, in the measure our qualities appear. They are an expression of the nature of the mind. We do not have to do anything, just allow them to be there with devotion. Devotion is the humility. Now, Nitzan, there is humility here. Devotion is the humility not to stand in the way of goodness. I am whatever I need to be right now. Like in Shantideva's second chapter, you know, he has this very nice aspiration to be a bridge for those who need a bridge, a boat for those who need a boat, a bed for those who need a bed, for those to be a servant for those who need a servant, a lamp for those who need a lamp, and so on. To be exactly what beings need. This is humility without a fixed opinion. I serve and help whenever I can. If we are simple and natural, we are also humble and modest. When we listen to the needs of the situation and follow bodhicitta, then pride has no chance. And friendship is also a very good antidote. Friends meet on an equal level, can exchange on that level, and meet in a natural way. To meet others on the same level is a perfect remedy for pride. It means we show our own weakness, that I do have problems and do not stand above everything. Okay, so then, you know, then he has these 5 points, but then it would go too far. For today, maybe we do it next time, and then next time, then I'll give you the whole text. I'll put it in the chat next time. Okay, so again,
can we have the text this week so we can read it again and contemplate on what you already told us?
No, you can have it next week.
Okay.
Have the whole text, okay? Because otherwise I have to divide it. It's okay. You'll get it next week. So next week we still meet. I have to move out of here. So I'm not homeless. I just go to another house on Saturday. And I don't know how the internet connection will be. I move higher up in the mountains to a ski resort. So I don't know how the internet connection will be. We will see how it goes. Anyway. And then on the 23rd, I have another plane ticket to Israel for the 23rd. So that will be the 5th one now. Well, maybe it works. So now what stands in the way maybe is that I have to have a PCR test and I'm tested positive. So that probably will be the only obstacle. So we'll see anyway. So I'm planning to come. What I also would like to point out to you, the weekend in Kfar Monash, that is the upcoming weekend, with Liora and Yael Shalev. They're both, and I think also maybe David Gordon, I think. Yeah. I think they're really wonderful people, and they are part of the Israeli Sangha who I know since the beginning, actually. I met them in my first visit, and since then we have been in close contact, and I see how they have integrated the teachings into their lives and how they live what they like. They live what they talk about, like Yael, for example, to see her own mistakes and to tell us about them and to be able to laugh about them is really wonderful. She's such a great person. So is Liora, and so is David. David has great knowledge. So if you have the possibility to go, because it's happening like with real people, not on the screen, it's in Kfar Monash. So please go, because also it gives you the foundation of Buddhism, like kind of what makes us not a Buddhist, you know, and I think it's these 4 seals of Buddhism, to see that everything that has been compounded is impermanent, so we lose the grasping, to see that everything that is contaminated is in the nature of suffering. Everything our mind touches is contaminated because we see it as inherently existent, right? There is no separate self. That's the 3rd seal. There's no essence anywhere. Everything is empty. And then the 4th one is only nirvana is peace, meaning only once we have gotten rid of all our kleshas, especially the wrong views of believing in an inherently, intrinsically existing self, then there will be peace. Before Elisheva, we will have, we will have panic, we will have negative emotions, we will have good emotions, but they're also impermanent, and so on. Only when we have realized emptiness, then we will not be able to get hurt anymore. Only then, but it will get less and less and less. The more simple we become, the more we have the courage to be ourselves and not kind of put up an act. And the more we don't need to be number 1, then the easier our life becomes. So it's a bit like this, if you, the more you want to be special, the more problems you have. The more it's like you say, yeah, I'm just one of all the other people, it's okay. And nobody needs to know that you have this attitude. Then your life becomes really simple. So try to go. If you can go, really, really try to go, because they're wonderful people. They're wonderful examples, these 3. Are anybody else participating, Dalit? Do you know? No, just the 3 of them. Okay. So you can find the program, of course, on the DFI website. Dorit, did you want to ask something? No? Okay. I think it will not be on Zoom. It's just, I'm not sure. So,
it's without Zoom, just
personal for people slowly to make the steps again to dare to move away from their screens and to touch and to see and to hear real people, where they can see you and you cannot just close the camera because you don't want to be seen when you have to kind of blow your nose or scratch somewhere or something like that. Okay. Nitzan, do you have a cat or you have a dog? What is that lovely creature there behind you?
It's Shoko, my dog.
Oh, so you had Cinnamon, but now Cinnamon
Cinnamon was a friend of ours, and this is nice. Shoko.
Sharko, okay. Nice.
He's looking at you now.
Hey, Shoko,
like chocolate.
Oh, Choco.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for noticing.
I'm looking forward to meet Choco. I love animals also. Animals are so great. They just, we can shout at them 5 minutes later. Not even 5 minutes. 2 minutes later, they come again. They wag their tails. So you should not abuse them and not use them as your garbage bin for. No, I know that you're not doing it, Nitzan. So, but anyway, not to use them as your garbage bin for negative emotions by thinking, oh, they will love me anyway. Also, nobody else we should use like this. But animals, they do. They have this loyalty is amazing. So beautiful. Great. So let's dedicate all the positive potential that we have created to look at, to distinguish between healthy self-confidence and arrogance, or, wrong pride that is kind of going the wrong way. And so that we can see that, and that this very subtle but big obstacle for us to learn something from anybody. If you say, oh no, I'm not going, they're not gurus, they're not, teachers, they're not qualified. If you have this kind of thought and you don't want to go to Parmonas, come on, It's like they will share their knowledge with you, and they're preparing, and they're really, really good people. They're really fantastic. They're really beautiful people with good hearts. Isn't it, Dalit? All three of them, and also Netta. It's really worthwhile to meet them if you haven't met them before. Also, Noah is nodding. There's not so many such beautiful people in the world. Don't miss out on being inspired and touched by them. And share your own goodness when you go there. Don't just go as a consumer. Go as, we share our knowledge and we are together, the happiness and all this. So we dedicate all the positive energy we have created by looking at this, so that we're able to recognize whatever, the clouds that kind of hide our beautiful mind that we all have, so that we're able to nourish our Buddha potential, bring it to the surface, and so that in the future, starting from now, we have this wish that whoever hears, sees, thinks about me, touches me, or talks about me, talks to me, may it only be of benefit to them. May we very quickly attain a state of full awakening, and then be able to inspire and guide beings, people, so that they apply these methods to themselves, so that they also can have that kind of peace that we want, meaning lasting peace, nirvana, a state which is totally free from suffering and the causes of suffering. But the mind is still there. Don't think it's boring. Then all the qualities, we can live them spontaneously, uninterruptedly, and the best thing, effortlessly. Okay. Thank you very much. And so next week we still have Zoom class, and then the week after, hopefully I'm in the plane. It's funny with the candles that I have here again. It's when I go, the last candle is on. So maybe this time is a good sign. I was quite surprised when I was counting them. I thought, oh, it kind of comes out even. These little tea lights that I light every day. Okay. So thank you very much for listening. Please take care, and maybe see you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
And if you cannot participate next week, and I put the text in the chat, because next week we look at, the 5 points how to change these things. I don't want you to change too quickly. This is why, Dina. First, I want you to see what's going on from your own side. You see, from your own, because you're all intelligent. Whatever you could still remember, that's fine. And then we talk about antidotes next week. Okay? Perfect.
תודה. להתראות עוד שבועיים.
להתראות.
See you in 2 weeks.
Take care. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Exactly. So if you want, if you're not here next week and you can't get the text, I'll send it to Ariella or to Noah. Noah, I still have your email, and then you can ask her to send it. Okay?
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
send you my email right now. 1
See
second.
you.
Yeah, you won't miss out. Absolutely not a problem. Okay.
אריאלה,
Bye.
תודה. ביי.
בשמחה.
לילה טוב לכולם.
לילה טוב.
לילה טוב.
לילה טוב.